Gordon, Cicerone certified beer server down here at Mellow Fellow Gastropub. We're down here at the bar tonight enjoying some great craft beers and talking about beer, talking about brewing.
Sierra Nevada Brewing was founded in the 1980s. They were known to be one of the first breweries to be in the forefront sustainably brewing beer. Sierra Nevada paved the way for all breweries to transition in becoming more sustainable and being more efficient using safe and renewable energy. By reducing, reusing, and recycling, all of this helps the overall environmental impact. In the late 80s and early 90s, going green and becoming more environmentally friendly became popular and really started to catch wind. It was formally introduced at an international conference in 1992. When looking back at Sierra Nevada, keep in mind the 4 principles of the Natural Step Framework, which are concentrations of substance extracted from the Earth's crust, concentrations of substances produced by society, degradation by physical means, and in that society, people are not subject to conditions that systematically undermine their capacity to meet their needs. Sierra Nevada prides themselves on following all these steps to becoming more of a sustainable brewery, not just using these steps as a catchphrase, but as a business model.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of breweries that are working on this right now. New Belgium Brewery up in Fort Collins, Sierra Nevada Brewery out there in Chico, Ninkasi Brewery up in Eugene, and actually Stone Brewery. They've actually gotten down to about 2.5 to 3 gallons of water used for every gallon of beer produced. And a lot of that is through water efficiency practices. They're really working on creating a more sustainable use of water. And a lot of that has to do with not the water that's being used in the mash, not the water that's being used in the sparge. This is generally going to be water that's going to end up in the final product. A large wastewater is actually the water that's used to cool the beer down. Basically, when the wort comes off, it needs to be cooled down for fermentation. It has to go through a heat exchanger, and that requires a lot of water. The wort cools down considerably, but the water actually warms up. And what a lot of these breweries are doing is they're reclaiming that water after it comes out of the heat exchanger, and they're storing that as hot water in a tank. That's hot water that can then be used to brew the next batch of beer. Breweries are absolutely at the forefront of sustainability practices. You go out to New Belgium and you see solar panels out on their building. You see wind turbines out in the fields. Most brew pubs, even small brew pubs here in town, are going to be taking their spent grains and they're going to be making bread with it. They're going to be sending it out to farmers that are going to feed cattle, and then that cattle is going to get sold back to the restaurant, and you're going to be able to enjoy that circle because it was beer and then the spent grains fed the cow who made your burger, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I think breweries are right there at the forefront of these sustainable practices, and it's only going to be getting better. The only thing that's going to keep brewers from transitioning into a sustainable brewing practices is the brewers themselves. Not all states, not all townships are going to regulate the brewers as much, so they're not going to regulate themselves if they don't have to. But I think most brewers, especially large production brewers, are going to want to be more sustainable. They want to enjoy this world as much as anybody else.